So from tariffs hitting South African exports like a wrecking ball and Pretoria scrambling for damage control, to the Reserve Bank shaking up its inflation plans, and a spot in the Northern Cape that opens up a window to the universe. Yes, you heard me right. Today's show is all about sudden shocks, big gambles, and seeing the bigger picture in every sense of the word. My friends, this is Daily Bagel, and look, for the next 2 weeks, the show might feel a little bit different. We're testing new formats and sections to make this the best morning show in South Africa. So please bear with us, tell us what you like and what you don't. And with all that in mind, let's get into it. And kicking us off with current affairs, after months of warnings, the US has pulled the trigger on a 30% tariff, basically a tax on South African goods heading to America. Now this means that our cars, wines, raisins, and more just became a third more expensive in one of our biggest export markets. And the fallout here was instant. For instance, car exports to America, which were already down 72% in June, just became even less competitive. I mean, we had a single factory in the Eastern Cape that just lost 750 million rand in contracts overnight. And industries like ostrich leather to nuts are staring down the same cliff edge. Furthermore, steel exports, which were already struggling, now face a 50% tariff on some of their products. As for the markets, well, they reacted before the ink was even dry. We had the JSE, which just cracked the 100,000 point mark, dropped to a 1-month low, while the rand slid to 18 rand 29 cents against the dollar. As for the companies, Sasol, PSG, and Sibanye all took hits of around 3% or more. So look, we can say all these things, but why does it actually matter? Let's break it down. I mean, the US is South Africa's second largest trading partner. And according to the Reserve Bank, these tariffs could cost around 100,000 jobs in auto and agriculture alone. Premium models bought for export like BMWs and Mercs suddenly cost a third more in the US, just pricing them out of the market. Now, government says that it's finalizing a support package, but for now, exporters are scrambling as decades-old trade relationships just collapse overnight. So amid all this tariff chaos, Pretoria is scrambling to soften the blow. So Ramaphosa says that a support package is being finalized to help companies most exposed to the US market. Now this plan reportedly includes what they call an export support desk, which is this like rapid response unit to help guide firms through compliance issues and open up new trade channels, plus potential tax incentives for the likes of the auto industry to keep production lines running. So government is also rushing to diversify trade. So negotiators are looking to deepen access into African and Asian markets, while our electric vehicle transition strategy is being fast-tracked to try and draw investment from Chinese automakers looking for new production bases here in South Africa. So the idea is simple: keep factories open by building cars for markets beyond the US. Now, in saying all of that, Pretoria hasn't given up on Washington either. You see, South Africa had already tabled 2 trade offers, including billions in LNG imports, farm sector concessions, and US-focused investments. But they were both dismissed as, and I quote, not ambitious enough. Another proposal is now on the table, and officials insist that all channels remain open to win a deal back. If there's any progress here, we'll be the first to let you know. And on to our quick fire mentions. FlySafair pilots have ended their 12-day wage strike after securing a 4-year deal with above-inflation pay increases. Now, the airline says that flights will return to full capacity, which is certainly going to help stabilize airfares in the coming weeks. And Home Affairs has fired 38 officials for corruption and misconduct in the past year, with several already jailed and more facing prosecution. Now, Minister Leon Schreiber says that the department's internal cleanup campaign will continue. And on to our finance section. Look, we hear about interest rates and inflation targets all the time, but they're not these abstract numbers. They literally affect what we pay for groceries, petrol, car loans, and mortgages. And so when they change, life gets more expensive or cheaper. So with all of that in mind, last week the Reserve Bank cut interest rates slightly, but then they threw a curveball. They said it now wants to anchor inflation at 3%, which is at the very bottom of its usual 3 to 6% range. Now, low inflation sounds great, right? Prices rise more slowly and borrowing can eventually get cheaper. But getting there means higher rates for longer in the short term. And look, our finance minister wasn't thrilled. He said that only Treasury and Cabinet can set policy and that the Reserve Bank jumped the gun by acting without proper consultation. Either way though, economists seem to be split. You see, some argue that locking in lower inflation will make South Africa more competitive over time, strengthen the rand and boost long-term bond yields by showing investors that the Reserve Bank is serious about price stability. Others though warn that getting there means higher interest rates for longer, which risks choking growth and hurting jobs in an economy already battling weak demand, not to mention tariffs. Either way though, for now, most analysts think that another rate cut this year is unlikely unless inflation keeps easing. And on to our wildcard section. So I didn't know this, but around the world there are a few rare places so untouched by light pollution that scientists call them international dark sky sanctuaries. They're essentially the gold standard for stargazing, where the Milky Way cuts across the sky like a glowing river, planets shine bright enough to cast shadows, and you can even spot galaxies invisible to the naked eye anywhere else. And Africa has exactly one of them, right here in South Africa. The Kgalagadi Transfrontier Park is a stretch of desert in the Northern Cape between Botswana and Namibia, and it was declared a sanctuary in 2019 after scientists measured its skies to be as dark as it gets. So Botswana and Namibia are already famed for stargazing, but this patch of land stands apart. Its remoteness and lack of artificial light make it one of the clearest windows to the universe on Earth. Take a trip here and you'll realize we're not just beneath the cosmos, we're slap bang in the middle of it, seeing the universe as the dinosaurs once did. And my friends, that's it for today's show. Thanks so much for tuning in. Hope you guys all have a cracker start to the week. Be kind to one another, and I'll catch you all same time tomorrow for round 2. Cheers.